It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports stories in the nation's capital and beyond. And we bring it to you live. Welcome to this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream edition of Listen In with KNN right here, presented by Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Happy Thursday. Thanks so much for joining me, and thank you for all who joined me with my last guest, Mr. Rob Parker of Fox Sports Radio and FS1, and of course, of The Odd Couple, one of our favorite shows. All right, let's get into it. Today, I am so excited for today's special guest. He is none other than Wayne Mabry. He is also known as the Violator and one of the Las Vegas Raiders super fans. We are going to have a fun show for you all. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome in none other than Mr. Wayne Mabry. Wayne, how are you today?
Thanks, Kelsey, for having me on. I feel honored to be on your show.
I feel honored to have you. You by far have the best dress of anyone that's been on this show. So now you set the bar pretty high.
Well, as long as I can come on, I'll keep setting it high.
I love it. Well, first off, to kick things off, how are you feeling? How are you doing?
Feeling blessed. Every day above ground for me is a blessed day. And I just go about my activities. You know, right now with the situation we're in, being safe, I have some underlying conditions. Yeah. So I'm being extra careful.
Good. We need you safe because, look, we need to see you in 2020 should we have a season at those Raiders games. It just won't be the same. So we got to keep you healthy and safe. All right, Wayne, we have to get into it. Lots of good things happening. I know you're excited for football, but before we even get there, Wayne, you're from Mississippi, Mound Bayou, Mississippi, to be correct. And I have to ask you, just recently this week, we had the Confederate flag emblem removed from the Mississippi State flag. So I wanted to ask you, how are you feeling about that, being a native of Mississippi?
Kelsey, I grew up seeing that emblem all the time, and it didn't mean peace and love to people of color. So seeing that come down gives me, that feeling that there are better days ahead, and there is time for change. There has been time for change. Yeah. And just seeing that was a symbol to me that people's hearts and minds are being influenced by this movement.
Yeah, this movement has grown, it seems like, to everywhere. We see sports leagues incorporating it. We see players kneeling, wearing the T-shirts. And I know you are out in California. So tell me, how has the movement been out there for you all? And how have you kind of seen this movement progress?
It's been like a family reunion on steroids, so to speak. We've seen the good and the bad, but also I lived through that in '92 in the LA riots. So this was like a couple of notches above that, because the diverse group of people that were out there, you've got young and old, people of all colors and origins uniting. So it gave it a different flavor. And I said, we see the results. People are taking notice.
I love it. You said we see the results. People of all colors and all backgrounds are getting into it. I think it's just an inspirational journey. And then also, Wayne, before we get into more talk about you, I want to go to sports really quick because some breaking news happened today. The NFL had announced Lift Every Voice and Sing, which is commonly known as the Black National Anthem, is expected to be performed live or played before every Week 1 NFL game. So I want to ask you, that news breaking, what does that mean to you?
That's awesome. I haven't heard that since I was in grade school.
Look at that. I was about to ask you to sing it next, but I guess I can't, right? Just kidding.
I could do like a Harry Belafonte version for you, but it's been a long time.
I won't put you on the spot. I think it's fantastic that they're doing it. It would be great. I know when I saw it before the NASCAR race, I was like, wow, times are truly changing. Look, we're getting the song out of the black church and into the mainstream. So I feel like good times are ahead.
Well, I look at it, Kelsey, like this. We're all human beings on this planet. We all have a purpose, and we're stronger united than we are fighting each other. Even though the scripture talks about there will be groups always at war with each other, but when you see a group of people unite, that's a powerful thing right there, and we can move mountains.
I love that. We can move mountains, a group uniting. And talk about a group uniting. I mean, Wayne, you are the ultimate embodiment of a 12th man. I mean, I feel like everyone knows you that's been a fan. Just at 21 years old, you moved from your home state of Mississippi to California so you could attend Raiders games in person. Well, tell us, I mean, how does a man in Mississippi become a fan of the Raiders?
Well, I'll give you the short version. As a kid, I was called a weirdo because I was always into swords and knights and dragons.
Yeah.
So upon seeing the Raiders playing the Kansas City Chiefs in 1970, I fell in love. It was love at first sight. As soon as I saw a silver and black team with a pirate on the side of the head, that's my team, hands down. So my quest began, how can I get to California? Well, I had to go through mom, and mom says, listen, you're finishing high school.
Yes.
Before you go anywhere. And she had intentions for me to go to college, which I did 2 years at Jackson State. I was there with Walter Payton, Robert Brazile, Jackie Slater, those guys.
Wow. What a perfect time to go there.
Yeah. So I saw superstars, and that just inspired me to follow my dream, which was to get here just to be just an average Raider fan. So I thought, but there was another kindred spirit I was carrying inside that came out later.
I love it. You just dropped some big names that you went to college with. So you got to tell us now, Wayne, what was it like to watch these guys play in person at one of the greatest HBUs in Jackson State University?
Well, look, being in the SWAC, you know how that is. A SWAC, Google a SWAC. Anybody that doesn't know about the SWAC.
You better know about SWAC football if you're watching the show.
Yes, but those games were like, to me, it was like being at a pro game, but we were all college students. And we knew these guys were going to be playing on Sundays.
Right.
So it was just, who team were they going to go to? And I'm hoping one of them go to the Raiders, hopefully. But that didn't happen. But my quest getting here was just inspired by being in that surrounding at that time in life. And California, like I said, that was I wanted to put my flag in the ground, so to speak, stake my claim on California.
I love it. California dreaming. And since you brought up the SWAC, why don't we get into the SWAC really quick? Bethune-Cookman, Florida A&M, moving to the SWAC in 2021, leaving the MEAC. What did you think about that move when you heard about this tremendous news? I think that shocked really HBCU sports world.
Listen, Kelsey, as a man from the South, outside of the SEC, the SWAC is closest to my heart. The SEC is boss because of the level that they play, but the SWAC has its own flavor, so to speak, like none other division in the country.
Right. It's nothing like a good SWAC matchup. I think football just got better, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, if we can get safer, we get some of those good football games this season. And now let's go back to the Raiders, because obviously this is what we have you on the show to talk about. I mean, you've been a Raiders season ticket holder since 1987, one of the 4 original members of the Black Hole. Just talk about how you've seen this franchise change over time.
It's been a fan's dream, just from me. Just getting here, first of all, was part of the dream coming true. When they moved here in '82, I hadn't gotten to go to Oakland yet. So Oakland to me was Mecca. So when they moved here, I'm like, okay, well, this fell right in my lap. It's like Christmas came early for me.
Yeah.
And so I saw them go through the highs and the lows, but that love for me was just like, you couldn't say nothing to me on game day or that week coming up to it. I'm going to see my Raiders, and win or lose, I was there. And after a few years of people heckling me about standing up, being so loud, that's what brought what you see in front of you out. I said, you know, LA had I call it an LA cool crowd. You
Yeah,
know, they would get up and scream when there was a turnover or a touchdown. But I mean, when that
yeah.
defense needed that fan base behind them, it was
It
just
was
like
you.
swag. I'm like, look, I know how to swag is. The whole place is rocking. So
Yeah.
the Coliseum wasn't rocking. So I'm like, I'm going to give you something visually to show that intensity that we should be at. So that's where this came to be in.
I love it. Like you said, I feel like all fans, every football team has those fans that I feel like are kind of, I want to call them bougie, but maybe a little bit bougie where they don't want to clap loud or yell loud. But then we have the people like you that get everybody, the whole section into the game. And we need fans like you. But tell me, how did the transition start and change? I mean, did you go full face mask, face paint, everything at one time? Or was it kind of a slow transition into becoming the Violator?
My character, the Violator, has evolved over the last 29 years.
Yeah.
It started out always put the war paint on and the spike. I had half of a shoulder pad. Show you how poor I was. I couldn't afford a set of shoulder pads.
It was something.
I found a pair of shoulder pads at a thrift store, and a friend of mine who wanted to do this with me, we split them in half, tied belts onto the shoulder pads to hold them on us, and that's how we came in there. But the face paint was showing game day intensity. And even when I'm sitting still, people would say, man, you look like you're just ready to tap the world. Yes, I am.
Yes, of course, because we know the Raiders are going to elude greatness. And I think just becoming a super fan, I mean, I've seen your pictures. You have pictures with Chucky and everybody. I mean, what has it been like for the team to embrace you as the super fan and really a member of their family?
That's exactly what they made me feel like, part of the family. I was older than some, younger than some, but it was just like a mixture of big brothers and little brothers. But they always, how can I say it? They always appreciated the intensity and the passion that I brought, and they knew that was going to be there. They could hear me if they couldn't see me.
I love that. I love that. And so just going through that, I mean, take me through some of your favorite memories being a part of the Raiders family.
First best memory was standing at the peristyle end of the LA Coliseum.
Yeah.
Standing there, I'm having my morning beverage, just saying to myself, pinching myself, actually, I can't believe I'm here. I'm standing here. And I'm watching all the pregame activities, come together. That's still part of my ritual now. One of my other ones was getting invited to a post-game dinner by the team.
Oh,
which
nice.
scared the hell out of me because I'm wondering what the hell did I do? But they wanted to find out the man behind the face paint.
Yeah.
And I corrected them. I say it's war paint. So they said, yeah, we'll take it off so we can see who you really are. So that's what started the whole, it was called a Pirates Pavilion back then. Yeah. And we would never sit. I would never let the fans sit.
Wow.
So I walked up and down the aisles. I can't do that anymore with my age, but I used to stomp up and down the aisle and get the kids involved. When the kids got loose, then the parents got loose. And it was so that the team hated to play on our end of the field. And the concession stand underneath, they couldn't even take orders because they couldn't hear. But we didn't do that. We're just trying to get the team fired up.
I love that. Look, the team can use it. This is why, honestly, Wayne, I have a big question about how these teams will do if we do go on without fans in the stadium. If that goes on that way, I mean, do you think it'll be the same for the players in the games?
I can answer you absolutely not.
Yeah.
Whether they admit it or not, and I'm knowing this from college and high school days, that game is meant to be played with a crowd. We feed off of each other. What do you call that? That synergism. There's no place else to get that. This is a modern day gladiator sport, and it won't be the same, but we will be tuned in, whether in front of our television sets or wherever. But
just don't be the same.
They're trying to push the game on forward. But like I said, we've got a bigger monster to deal with in reality.
It's true. It's true. So of course, we hope we deal with that one so we can get you all to games and in the seats. And really quickly, I want to switch over real quick because you mentioned how you get kids motivated and involved. And I think something amazing that you do, Wayne, is you donate a lot of your time and efforts to kids, including kids with cancer, working alongside the Raider Nation for Life Club, as well as work with supporting our vets. So tell me, I mean, why is that charity work giving back to the community? Why is it so important to you?
As a kid that grew up poor, dirt poor, it just hit me at a certain point in life that, there's more joy in giving than receiving. And you can't really put a price tag on that. But in your heart and your spirit, you know that you've done good, and good usually comes back around if karma is correct.
Yeah, good karma.
I was kind of reluctant for working with kids because of the way the parents had the kids staying away from me when I first came dressed like this in the games.
They were a little scared, yeah.
They were like, stay away from that crazy man. But the kids saw right through it.
And they saw your heart.
I felt like a Pied Piper for a while. But as I grew into my character, I realized, look, I have something here that draws them. So why don't pass something positive to them once they get close enough for me to converse with them? And that's what I've been doing for, like I say, the last 29 years.
Wow, last 29 years. And I want to go back. You're the #1 Raiders fan at the Professional Football Ultimate Fan Club Association, class of 2010. For us normal folks, explain that to us. Well, what does that officially mean?
Correction, class of 2000. I went
in class of 2000. Look at that. That just shows how long you've been there. So to be a part of that class, I mean, for those that don't know the process of it, why was that so important to you?
It was important to me because it really showed me that you can do something from an idea and affect people and in a positive way, regardless of how our fan base was looked at or how our team was looked at.
Right.
I knew something inside of here was ticking a little bit different. So as time went on and Visa contacted me for that award, and I'm just like, wow. I was humbled by that. But at the same time, that was the peak of the iceberg for me. And from then on, and a couple of players who give me words of encouragement along the way. And I won't really throw names out there on this show. But
I'll let you get if you want.
Well, one was Howie Long, another was the late Kenny Stabler. And he was the one that really pulled me to the side one night before a game. And he told me, listen, we're all watching you since you started. You're so serious about this. Why don't you come out of the closet and hold that torch up that you're carrying for all of us? So it gave me goosebumps that he would say that to me. And I'm just like, I never really got to tell him thanks before he passed away.
Oh, but what a special moment. I would like to think he's listening to you right now with that heartfelt, just, thanks of gratitude. And Howie Long, I mean, what big names. I mean, that's why I said you said it, your family. Like, you are a part of the Raiders organization, and just being a part of that family, I feel like I should switch into it. We're getting ready for Vegas now, right? The stadium is 98% complete ahead of the July 31st deadline. But take me back to that moment when you found out that the Raiders would be leaving Oakland officially and going to Vegas. What was that moment like for you?
Well, I'll have to admit it wasn't one of my fondest moments.
Yeah.
Here's the reason why. To me, watching them as a kid in Oakland will always be sacred ground to me. We call it Mecca. And all the fans from all over the world that come, they say they've had the best time there because of our hospitality. Yeah. And when the realization set in that they were actually moving, to me, it was like a divorce in the family.
Wow.
And we were torn. To me, I just say I was like hit in the gut and had the wind knocked out of me, so to speak. It took me a while to get my head around it. But here's the deal. Us as fans, we follow a team through our passion and our love for that team. The teams are a business, and I mean a big business, and they will go on with or without us.
It's true.
That was the reality that we had to get our heads wrapped around, especially when they're moving from Oakland once before. Now they got hit twice with that.
Yeah.
Those guys from that area, my heart went out to them because I knew just how they felt. When they left LA and went back to Oakland,
Yep.
I had 2 weeks where I couldn't function. I was just in shock that a team could move over a weekend and be gone.
Yeah.
But, Vegas is new frontier, and that's what I'm looking at it. So I'm hoping I'm around long enough to write a few more chapters in that state.
I love that. And so for fans, Wade, because not all fans sound like you. Look, I've talked to some bitter Raiders fans, quite frankly. What would you say to them? Like, just to kind of help them, all right, the team's leaving. We know they're going to Vegas, but we still got to support them. What message would you give to them?
Absolutely. I would say take that bitterness and flip it 360 or 180, turn that into positive energy. Just as bad as you feel, flip it over and make that be the way you want to feel the other way, especially when we get this number 4 Lombardi trophy.
Oh, you're already counting it, huh? This season, right?
Well, maybe not this season,
but it's coming.
A few seasons away. I'm feeling that.
I love it. They have to do it for you, right? You just said it on this show, so we got to make the dream happen. I love what you said, because I know, quite frankly, it's hard when a team leaves. I get it. But like you said, I mean, you've become part of that family. I know you've been in interviews where you talked about it, how for you, it's even going to be more money, obviously, for you to go to these games. But I'm assuming that it's very near in your heart to still travel, right, to go support your team.
I would try to get there even if I had to walk or hitchhike. But like I say, on the financial side of it, me being a retired, carpenter, I really couldn't afford the seats I'd had for like 35 years or so. I couldn't afford them. So, I'm just putting my faith out there that something will happen and I will find a way to be inside where I need to be.
We need you inside where you need to be. It's important. It's important. And now I want to talk about the Raiders coming up this football season. We have a quick question from the fans, if you don't mind, Wayne. It's from Junior Chris. He said, what makes you think the Raiders will be successful this upcoming season?
Well, having Chucky back was a big part of it.
Yeah.
Between him and Mike Mayock, those are 2 football nerds, if I can say that.
Yes, you can say
that. They are football minds, and they are very passionate about what they do.
Right.
I remember Mike when he played with the Bears. And of course, Gruden and I always tease him that we grew up together. And so this reunion of sorts has been off the charts, just having him back in Oakland. It was just that look he would give me, and I knew exactly what he meant, because I teased him about it when he worked for the networks. What would it take to get him back in Oakland? And of course, not knowing the situation at that time, he just gave me that grin, and I'm like, okay, something's up. But
you knew something was coming, yeah.
All these young men have to do is dedicate themselves to their craft.
Yep.
They've got 2 of the smartest guys as far as bringing in talent, recognizing opportunities, and just follow their lead, and they'll be right back there. Like I've said, I'm saying about 2 or 3 seasons, to be honest.
I love
for them for their team to mature, because we have a young team right now.
You do.
Those guys, they need to find their 2 alpha dogs, one on defense, one on offense.
Yep.
And I'm just talking as an old football player myself, and guys are ready to follow once they have a leader.
Yes, once they have a leader. Let's talk about the leader. Let's talk about Derek Carr. Talk about just what you've been most impressed by him, because I think he gets some slack in the media, quite frankly, for his play as a quarterback. But I'm assuming you're a fan of his, and it sounds like you believe in him. So talk about what you've liked most about Derek.
Yes, he was a man of the spirit. So first of all, that's where he and I bond. And the guy is skilled as all get out. He has talent galore. Now, what we're holding him up to is the bar that Rich Gannon left. We haven't replaced Rich, so we've gone through numerous quarterbacks. I could write an encyclopedia on how many I've seen come and go. Leadership sometimes can't be coached.
Right.
And we know Derek has it. We've seen that in the years he's been there. And yes, he's dealt with multiple coaches, multiple systems. And I get that as a former player. I get that. Right. But at some point, you've just got to go like you're in the backyard and it's like, hey, okay, it's us against them. Let's go.
Yeah, I like that.
You're getting me fired up now.
Look, that's what I want. This is a fun show. And just going off of that, let's talk about some of the other quarterbacks. Marcus Mariota, Nathan Peterman. Any thoughts on them and maybe their possible play this season?
Well, I understand that Gruden loved Mariota. coming out of college.
Yeah.
Peterman, I'm looking at Peterman as really just a career backup guy, you know. And really, to be honest, I think this will actually be a make or break season for Derek.
Yeah.
That is a shift. That's just a gut feeling that I'm getting, because they're gonna make a move at some point, because you still have to put butts in the seats, and if your quarterback isn't leading, usually your team isn't winning.
Yeah, which is harder to get butts in the seats then, right? Because nobody wants to see a losing team.
They kind of go hand in hand.
Right. And actually,
even though with us, the fan base, we've been loyal even for the 20 years or so that our team was like the dungeon. We were like the doormats of the league, but our pride never wavered one bit for that team. And that showed them we are loyal.
Which is awesome. I wish all teams were like that, because like you're saying, there's some teams where we have fair weather fans. Yes, I'm calling them out because there are there. But like you said, you are there through thick and thin. You talked about over 2 decades. You've been a fan, supporting hand in hand, like you said. But I love it. You still have hope. You said that trophy is coming 3 or 4 seasons more possibly, and the Raiders will get to hoist it up. I think it's a very exciting time. And while we're talking about quarterbacks, we're going to shift from the Raiders real quick. Cam Newton is making some big news and some big waves heading over to the New England Patriots. So just curious, how do you think he'll fare with the Pats fans?
I'm looking at Big Cam as a man with a chip on his shoulder. He's going to bring swag to the Patriots. So New England, get ready. I think even the stoic Belichick will be moved by this guy's spirit. Some things, like I say, are just gifts from God. You can't coach that or teach that. It just is what it is. And all of us have that gift. You just have to tap into it. I'm looking at Cam having an awesome year if he's healthy. That's the main thing.
Right. We're all looking at that health. We hope he gets back to being the Superman that we know that is Cam Newton. So have to wish him the best. And also on quarterback side, everyone is talking about in the AFC, Wayne, Patrick Mahomes, and a guy named Lamar Jackson. Any thoughts on those two and how they're out this upcoming season?
You know, as a football purist, Kelsey, I love both of those young men because they're 2 quarterbacks that you can't really put in a box.
Not at all.
They don't fit. Like myself. You know, I tear the crap out of any container. But these guys are the future of the game. Yeah. And it's when they first come in, it was like watching backyard football, so to speak. Yeah. But that spirit is what the fans fell in love with these 2 guys. Right. Now, as an adversary, you know, I'm not looking for them to have a good game against us. But when I watch them just as a football fan, you know, I'm rooting for them inside. I may not say anything, but I'm rooting for them inside.
I think that means a lot.
To them the best because, like I say, they are the future of the league.
They are the future of the league. And just while we're on that, any other quarterbacks that stand out to you that you are going to inside root for, but not outwardly this upcoming football season?
Russell
Wilson,
dangerous Russell.
Yeah.
I would say even Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Just from his journey and how he got to where he is, what he went through. You know, I kind of sympathize with guys who weren't just given the baton as a guy who wasn't ever given anything. So I'm still hungry, you know, like one of those junkyard dogs. I scrap for everything I get. So, but I appreciate it at the same time. And I think all those players appreciate where they've gone, you know, where they are from where they come from.
Yes, from where they come from. Like you said, we have to root for him. And Aaron has talked about a chip on his shoulder. I think he has a chip on his shoulder as well as we look forward to this upcoming football season. And also, I don't know if people heard the news, but right now it's been reported that the NFL will cut its preseason in half and push back the start of exhibition play. So teams have more time to train following, of course, this virtual offseason that we've all had to go through. So just hearing that the preseason now just won't be the same. We're getting less games. Are you a fan of that? Are you a fan of the NFL probably doing that, just trying to figure out where things are? Or do you think we should have just left it the same?
I look at preseason this way, Kelsey. Preseason to me is audition time. The vets could care less about putting that extra wear and tear on their bodies. Now, as a fan, let's get to the nitty gritty. You know, we can do away with preseason altogether, as far as I'm concerned as a fan, because it costs the same to attend preseason, and those games don't really matter. It's job auditions. So I I'm there when I go, but I don't really get too emotionally involved with the game because I understand half of those guys that we see won't be there come the last.
You can't get attached, right? Because that guy might just be gone.
But we love the 53 that are left. We
Right.
love them all the way.
Those are the ones that we root for. Well, and you've done so much for the football world, but I think also why I had you on the show is you are just an amazing person. Also, when you're not in the stands rooting for your favorite team, financial literacy, I know, is something near and dear to your heart. So break that down for me. Why did that become a passion of yours, and why are you trying to spread it to others and get them involved as well?
Here's a real reason I got involved with that. Not being taught anything about finances, coming all the way through school, and even at home, we got taught nothing about finances. Say if we had $100, we would go spend that $100.
Right.
Never talked about investing in anything. So, go to school, get a job, work hard. If you don't work, you don't get paid, basically.
Right.
But and the other part is when they give back to the youth, this program that they have called the YFL, giving back to the youth to teach them financial literacy. Even when I talk to adults now, and I guess I can say I'm an agent. So anybody who needs financial help, give me a call. Contact me through my social media, and I can gladly direct you in the direction you need to go. I'm a client and an agent, so
that's awesome.
I'm part of the system, and I believe in it.
I think that's awesome because let me tell you, especially in sports, I have had to do finance stories a lot, and unfortunately, usually on the negative side. I always say all reporters have had to kind of do that broke athlete story, and it always breaks my heart. Guys trusting in the wrong people, not watching their finances, putting it in the wrong hands, and then before you know it, you say, "Oh, but they signed $1 million contract. How are they broke now?" People don't look at it. You need to be aware of it. So I think what you're saying is very near and dear. And I really hope athletes out there, especially, realize the importance of financial literacy. And it sounds like you are reaching everybody through your work. So I applaud you for your work and your effort.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a work in progress, but it's also something I can put my passion into, just like being a fan like I am.
So let me ask you, if you had, let's say schools had financial literacy courses, right, from kindergarten on. I mean, looking back at your life, how do you think that would have changed your life and some of the choices you made?
One way it would have helped me is because I probably have parted away close to $1 million in during my work career. I was a carpenter for like 36 plus years. And that was a hard industry because when I got in, there weren't many people of color there. So I had to fight that, and just to make my way. I wasn't related to anybody. I'm just a guy from nowhere, but who had a good work ethic because I knew as a kid, my mom would give us a lawnmower and say, if you want that money to go buy something or go out to the club, go mow some yards. And that's what I did from middle school all the way up through high school. And she says, we didn't even have ATMs, but she says, I'm not the bank of mom. So go out there and work what you want. And she taught us the value of appreciating what you work for. So those things are what I try to pass on to people in my conversations.
I love that. And just going off of that through financial literacy and finances, you've also got something cool going on with Moto Sports, right? I see this link everywhere. I need to go shopping, now that I got my paycheck for second of the month. So tell us all about Moto Sports.
Moto Sports, that's my baby. That's my clothing line that was inspired by a kid watching Johnny Quest. I fell in love with the Komodo dragon as a kid. Like I say, I was a little weird. But I dreamt of having that beast for my pet until I found out it was actually an endangered species and a natural born predator So anyway, as a bodybuilder back in the 80s, I hated wearing everything that every other guy had on. So I'm like, I'm an artist. Let me just draw my own designs based on how I really feel inside. So when you go to Motorsport, my clothing has an attitude, and I always have a saying, it's not for everybody, but it's for those who it speaks to.
I like that. It's not for everybody, but it's for those who it speaks to. We're going to have to drop that link after the show. And just going back to you and just your fandom with the Raiders. I know you're not the only super fan, right? There's a group of you guys. So talk about like how you all have grown together and, why it's so important for all of you guys just to continue to support the Raiders. And how do you hope to bring on the future generation to also take your place as you all, get older?
I'm glad you brought that up, Kelsey. Good point. We're called a horde for those that don't know. Yeah. We're called an evil horde. But anyway, that aside, it's a fraternity for us. The whole Raider Nation is a family, and I'm talking about a worldwide family. Yeah. People, I've talked to fans from countries I can't even talk to, but they know why they come up to me, and I know. So we just exchange our pleasantries, and they come back and tell me years later how that one photo shut the whole villages up that they live in. Now, as far as Generation Next, that's near and dear to my heart. Yeah. And it's on us older fans to teach them the right way to be a diehard fan. It's not about putting hands on the other fan, because without those opposing fans, we're having practice. And you heard what AI said about practice.
Yeah, practice. We talking about practice, right?
We talking about practice. But anyway, that Generation Next, like I say, those same guys that's out there protesting, they're showing their passion right now. And as far as fans, most of these young Raider fans grew up. I know a lot of them since they were babies. Some before they were born. I put my hands on them in the oven, so to speak. So. Yeah. I feel like old grandpa right about now, but that passion has not faded one bit. And I'm just trying to pass a little bit of that off to them and give them words of wisdom and encouragement and positivity. That's the main thing. Keep them positive, and they can move mountains just through their unity.
I love that. They can move mountains through their unity. I'm glad. I feel like the Las Vegas Raiders are in good hands with fans like you and people like you, and just making sure that we nurture that next generation. Wayne, it's been such a joy. The Violator, as we call him. Do we get to see, is there any more of the outfit that we get to see on this live stream? Because I know people are curious. I don't want to put you on the spot, Wayne. I don't know if you did the whole get up today. If you did it, it's okay.
This is about it.
Look, we'll take it.
You know how it is in the studio, Yeah. I have a suit, coat, and a tie and shorts on.
No, I love it. I love it. And Wayne, before I let you go, any last words for our listening audience?
Well, listen, like I say, Kelsey, I'm honored to be a guest on your show.
Thank you for coming.
Hope you invite me back in the future when we got other stuff to talk about, as things progress. But to your listeners, keep supporting this young lady, because she is inspiring Generation Next herself. And I told you that when I conversed with you over social media. Yeah. Keep inspiring. That's one of my words. People look at you kind of weird, but keep inspiring. You never know who you will ignite behind you. And that's to me, that's our purpose as human beings. We're not going to be here forever. When point A and B come together, our chapter is done. Yeah. Speaking of chapters,
it's true.
Stay tuned. I've got a book that I've just finished writing.
Congratulations.
It's called The Walk, and it should be out around November sometime. So that's an intense story of my whole journey from birth till now.
I absolutely love that. I can't wait to read it. We talked about this on Messenger, but I don't know if everybody knows this, but Wayne, I also have family from Mississippi. So it was really exciting to bring you on. Mississippi is very near and dear to my heart, since a lot of my family still lives there. And especially because I think people unfortunately have a negative connotation of it. Why? I don't know, but so many great people come from that great state. And this is why it was important for me to have you on. So again, I truly, truly appreciate it. I feel like you're about to show Mississippi some love. If you were, go ahead. I'll let you say it.
Well, just shout out to Chocolate City. You know who I'm talking to. I'm one of you. I got away because I had things to do.
Oh, I love that. Wayne, thank you so much for joining me again. Don't be a stranger to the show. Truly appreciate your time.
My pleasure, Kelsey. Like I say, keep doing your thing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a great one.
You too.
Thanks. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this live stream edition of Listen In with KNN. I hope you had fun. As always, I learned something. And please jump in on Listen In with KNN bandwagon. We'll be back next week. I hope you all enjoy your 4th of July. No show this Saturday, but we'll be back next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with some very special guests. If you want to see who I have, I'm not even going to tell you on this live stream. You got to check out my website, KelseyNicoleNelson.com, and you'll see the double show that we're having next Thursday. So until next week, please be safe. Enjoy your 4th. And please tell your loved ones you love them because, no day is promised. All right. Thank you all so much for listening. And until next week, have a good one. Bye.
Follow Kelsey on social media at The Real K Nelson. And catch each broadcast of Listen In with KNN on air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM Fox Sports Radio on YouTube, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this special live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN.
You used to hear me on your airwaves or hear me on my hit podcast, but now I'm taking you to the screen. You'll love Elevator Thoughts. We will talk the latest trending in sports. It's game time. What better way to get to know those that visit the show than over some good food and drink? It's time for confessions.